What is up, guys? John Pap here from JohnPapFitness.com, coming at you with your 5 tips to lose weight, gain strength, and get jacked. I think we're on about episode number 31, something like that. 31, whatever it looks like on your screen. 31, that's where we're at. This week, I'm going to be talking to you about exercises that you can do and things that you can do proactively to prevent low back pain in the future and hopefully help, ease low back pain. Now, first and foremost, I am not a medical professional. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a PT. So take everything I say with a grain of salt and consult your healthcare provider, whether it is a PT, MD, whoever your healthcare provider is, because I'm not a healthcare provider. But that being said, I have helped a lot of clients just through training and seen a lot of things with the low back and athletes and whatnot that, can kind of help things out just through experience. What I've seen works. Now, again, do not take this as advice. Try it if you would like, but seek out your medical provider beforehand. Anyways, we're getting to it now. That's out of the way. So, 5 things. Number 1, train your core, okay? Most people I see come into the gym that complain about lower back pain, that's one of their issues. Their core is weak. And by core, I mean their abdominal muscles. They're not just the 6-pack abs here, right? All through here, everything in this torso is pretty weak. So once we strengthen that can do a lot to help you alleviate low back pain, right? So it's going to do a lot in preventing low back pain, preventing injuries from happening from, being in a bad position, doing whatever you're doing, whether it's sports or lifting or just general life, right? You bend down to pick something up and, there goes your back, right? A lot of people that happens to. So having a strong core can do wonders. Now, what you can do for that is we want to work in the different movements or non-movements with the core. I think I've talked about before, but you're going to have extension and anti-extension, flexion, rotational movements, and anti-rotational. So anything in there that's going to strengthen all these muscles in here. And remember, our lower back also counts as our core. So these spinal erectors and those deeper lower back muscles, all those count as our core. So don't forget about those in our core training per se, all right? So that is number 1. Number 2, mobility in the glutes and hamstrings, all right? Mobility in the glutes and hamstrings. Now, a lot of times the hamstrings are talked about, and for good reason. A lot of people have tight hamstrings, and it can definitely affect your lower back. But also, what I find with most people, their glutes are tight too, right? Their hips, right? Their hips. And not necessarily the big glute max, but the deeper glutes, right? The glute medius and minimus. So they're not as talked about as much, but they're deeper, and those are going to be a lot tighter in most people, just in general, especially with society as it is today with so much sitting. And that's not just adults either. That's a lot of athletes we see, their glutes are tight, and high school kids complaining about low back pain. It's not something we want to see. So that definitely glutes and hamstrings, make sure those are mobile. Do regular mobility work, stretch out your hamstrings and glutes, and you don't go through active range of motion drills too, not just static stretching. So not just holding a hamstring stretch, right? Doing other things to kind of help that out, moving through movement patterns, moving through your squat pattern, moving through your hinge pattern, so your deadlift or kettlebell swing pattern, that true hinge. So do those kind of things before every workout, every day really. It doesn't take long. You don't have to take an hour to do mobility. Take 5 minutes, do mobility, boom. Number 3, now we're on the kind of talk of glutes and hamstrings, but strengthen the glutes and hamstrings, okay? So those are also going to play a big role, especially the glutes. A lot of times glutes are weak. Strengthen your glutes can do a lot. So it kind of goes hand in hand with the mobility there. That is 3. Number 4, learning correct form and practicing it, all right? So don't go crazy with exercises that you could potentially hurt yourself on with the amount of weight if you don't know what you're doing. So learn from someone who does know what they're doing, 1. Number two, seek out the best sources online to learn, whether that's in person, wherever you can find, learn the correct form, and then learn that movement pattern, and then build up to that heavier weight, especially with deadlifts, squats, all those hinges. So make sure you've got the movement patterns down so you don't mess yourself up. So you're not overextending, hyperextending that lower back on the deadlifts with your lockout and just furthering any back pain that is there, or maybe it's just lurking around the corner. Okay, so just be wary of what you're doing with your strength training. Now, number 5, reverse hypers. So reverse hypers are really great for strengthening the lower back. Louis Simmons talks all about reverse hypers. There's a million things. If you want to learn more, go to him. He really invented the exercise, I would say. Invented the machine to use them. Basically, you lay on a table that's above the air or above the ground, and then your feet are suspended in the air underneath of it, so they're just kind of dangling there, and it really kind of decompresses. But then you hook your feet in straps, you come on back and back down there. So it's gonna pull your pelvis under, and then when you extend the hip, it's gonna pull that weight, extend the hip, your glutes and hamstrings, the low back's gonna be firing, everything's firing there. Then back down, it's gonna kind of do that decompression. Now, if you don't reverse hypers, they are kind of a specialty thing. I know Louis talks about there's no replacement for the reverse hyper, but one thing you can do that I found that works decently well, just for kind of not necessarily, it's not going to do the exact same thing because it isn't a reverse hyper, but if you lay up on something, whether it's, a board across pins in a squat rack, and lift your feet up and down, you can add ankle weights to on that, or if you lay just on some surface that's elevated and then your feet can kind of dangle off. Now, it's not going to have the same effect because that weight won't be pulling down underneath of that surface and kind of acting to decompress, right? But when you come back up, it's definitely going to hit your glutes, hamstrings, low back. So, and by low back, I'm mainly talking about the spinal erectors, those big muscles that kind of run along the spine. So those things can go a long ways in helping out your back. Again, I'm not a medical professional, so take this with a grain of salt. Listen if you want, but don't take this as, the thing for your lower back. So that is it, guys. Those are your 5 tips this week on how to help any back pain that you may have or just prevent it in the future. Again, we see a lot of people that come in, they're out of shape, and a lot of times, millions and millions of Americans, I don't remember the exact statistic, but it's tens of millions of Americans have problems with their low back. So just keep that in mind, guys. It's very important because you don't want to mess your lower back up. If you've been there, it sucks. I've had lower back injuries before in sports, and they're not fun. Now, nowhere near what I've seen or what I've heard of. So just be careful with what you're doing because your back is very important to everything you do. So that is it, guys. Your 5 weekly tips to lose weight, gain strength, get jacked. Episode 31, I believe. Remember, hit me up on any social medias to ask any questions that you may have. Reach out and I will answer them as soon as I can. Really appreciate when you guys do that. Also hit like, subscribe, and make sure to let me know that you're actually watching and you care. Other than that, guys, we are out. Check out social medias. Forgot to say, John Bett Fitness on pretty much everything. And that is about it, guys. Hope you're chasing it. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Don't eat too much. Still get your training sessions in, but enjoy your break. Enjoy your time with your family. Other than that, guys, chase it. There we go.